everybody. Is that van got a Confederate flag in the back? Is this? No pies are left in this vehicle overnight. But anyway, one of the common questions I get is, how am I doing after my crash? You know, it was 15 months ago, and I haven't really sort of said how things have progressed, injuries-wise. Jesus, bloody windy. And it's very kind, people are concerned and still asking. Now, although it was 15 months ago, it's still daily relevant to me. I haven't been able to forget about it because of the injuries that I've been left with, and because I'm also going through an injury claim process to try and get some money for the fucking damage the guy did. As most of you may probably well know, the main injuries that I had were to do with my left thumb and my left knee, because that's the side that hit the car. Now, my knee, although the specialists are saying that it has no internal damage, it does hurt. Like, if I stand up for more than a couple of hours at work, well, probably about 4 or 5 hours, I start limping. Now, since I've reduced my hours at work, it has got dramatically better, I will say that, but it will start to ache by the end of the day. But whereas I get more time to recover, it's okay, I can deal with it. But if I have a couple of very busy days, like a very busy weekend, by that Monday, fuck me, it just doesn't work as a knee, it just doesn't like it. So the remaining injury to my knee is basically, it's just sore through use. The other injury, you know, I had a big gouge wound and some road rash in my knee. That's ended up resulting in a scar that looks like this. It looks like a pig's snout, 2 dots. They're the 2 big puncture wounds I had. I don't really care about scars, you know. Scars are quite cool things. They're a bit like a tattoo. They tell you a story of things that have happened to you before. The problem that I do have with it is the fact that my entire knee, for like inches around that scar, I have hypersensitivity and numbness. Now, the numbness obviously isn't a problem because it's numb. The hypersensitivity is because it means I can't kneel on my knee. And that's due to nerve damage, most likely due to the fact that I had something stab me straight through the knee. I actually think it was on Betty. I think it was one of these pieces of fairing that came further down here. Now, my thumb, this is a different matter. I recently went to a hand specialist and found out the lasting damage and the information, you know, to do with what actually happened to it, because I didn't get any of this information directly. The doctor wouldn't tell me, he wouldn't even freaking explain what they'd done to my thumb. I actually, when I went to get an MRI on my knee, they had to go and speak to the doctor to find out what they did to my thumb, to find out what he actually, if he implanted anything in it or not. Because if I had metal in my hand, they needed to know. And they didn't even tell me this. It was like, I shouldn't know. Look, we fixed your hand, now fuck off. Well, what have you done to it? Don't you worry about that. So as I've gone to the specialists who have the medical notes, I have learned through reading their reports what was done with my thumb. Basically, the major issue I had with the NHS, and I got a bit of shit from people for criticising the NHS, they didn't x-ray this hand when I went into a hospital, A&E. I was picked up by the ambulance. They didn't x-ray it. They x-rayed my neck and, you know, my knee and this hand, but they didn't do this hand. Had they x-rayed this hand, they would have seen that I had actually snapped off a piece of bone and my UCL. That required surgery to be fixed, and ideally should have been done very quickly. If it had been done straight away, had they, you know, x-rayed my hand, I'd had surgery within a week, the method used then would have been they would have literally just put the piece of bone back in where it belongs and screwed it down. That would have meant that the tendon was in the correct place, under the correct tension, etc, etc. Obviously it will be back the way it should be. But because it took me to have to go back to my doctor and whinge and complain and moan until he would send me off to the hand clinic again, or to the hand clinic, shall I say, who then x-rayed my hand, who then discovered I'd done this damage 5 weeks later, and then said, you need surgery like tomorrow, mate. But it ended up being a week because of a fuck-up. They couldn't actually use that technique anymore. What they had to do was chop the piece of bone off, so I lost a piece of bone out my thumb, and use a thing called a mica mini anchor, I think it's called. Basically, it's a little titanium anchor that they screw into your thumb, or it gets pushed into your thumb into a hole, and then they suture the ligament to that, and that's how they repair it. Now, the problem with that is, it's not in the right place, it's not under the right tension, and it has caused lasting damage. You see, from the tests that the hand specialist did, I lost 23 degrees of movement in the flex of the end of my thumb, and I've lost quite a bit of strength for it as well, in both pinch and hand grip, because where it's on the inside of your hand, when you start gripping something hard, it starts to fucking hurt, because I also have nerve damage and numbness and hypersensitivity around that scar. So as it turns out, with this hand, I had like something like 60 something kilos of grip strength, and then over the recurring tests it plateaued at about 57, and I was able to continue doing that. With this hand it was quite a bit lower, and each one dropped a few kilos, because I was like, and after a few it's just like, no, don't even bother trying. So to all the people that had a right go at me for criticising the NHS, I could very easily, and I would win, sue the NHS right now. Because had they followed procedure, which was to x-ray the affected areas, I would not have the disabled thumb that I now have. But I'm not going to sue them. This injury claim is not against the NHS, it's against the third party, the guy that hit me, or pulled out me, shall we say. I could go independently afterwards, go through one of the, the medical negligence type things, and sue the NHS for damages, but I won't, because I don't think that the NHS is in a position that taking more money out of it is going to be a good thing. It's already on its fucking arse. Oh, and also, remember that video, Neurologist raped my brain or something? I mentioned how he kept looking in one of my eyes, and then going back and writing something down, or didn't tell me anything. I now know what he was looking at. Basically, I have an abnormality between my two eyes. I have very, very good vision. I mean, like, really, really good vision. However, one of my eyes, the pupil is less reactive to light, larger, and more jerky moving compared to the other one. Whether this is something that has come around after the crash, we don't know. So yeah, basically that is it. I'm not complaining. I'm happy I'm walking around, talking, riding, and not dead. I am pissed off with the NHS, because I wouldn't have the problems I have with my thumb so bad, at least, had they just done that one x-ray on that day. But 15 months on, I've kind of had enough of it. I can't wait for the claims to be finished. We're getting there, it's nearly done. And the money from that will make some improvements in my life that hopefully will put a more of a positive air on it, rather than the negative one. That's the way I currently think about it. And I can put the whole lot behind me. I mean, obviously I'm still going to have the reminders of holding stuff in my hand and be trying to kneel and all of that. But yeah, once all the claims done, hopefully I won't have to worry about the paperwork, bringing it up to on a daily, weekly basis. How one old man's inability to see has caused a permanent change in my life. Actually, I get criticised for blaming the reason he didn't see me on his age, being that the guy that pulled out me must have been in his mid-80s. He proclaimed, I didn't see him at all. Head on, headlights, pulled across in front of me. How could you not see me? If you've ever had an accident and it wasn't your fault, you can claim money with me. No, and it wasn't your fault, someone pulled out on you. How old were they? Don't worry about the sex, I'm not worried about that. I'm talking about, I'm talking about crushing, we're not talking about sex. Doesn't matter if they were male or female, I just want to know their age. Let's work out the average of what the average age, or if anyone knows these figures, what is the average age of the person that pulls out on you? So anyway, I hope this answers the questions I get when people say, how is my knee? And I'm always just like, yeah, it's okay, a few problems. And I feel like, well, I could explain more, but there you go, you got a video doing it now. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. I feel like I should be dubbing stuff. I dub you Sir Jesse. Just hit my kill switch, didn't I? Let's try that again.